Hi everyone, Eileen Bayer, the fam here. Welcome to another episode in our mini-series on epilepsy. In this series, we are going to be covering a couple of topics. We are going to be going over, is epilepsy inherited? And are the brothers and sisters of children with epilepsy more likely to develop it? Okay, and also, if I have epilepsy, will my children also have it? Those are the three things that we're going to cover in this series. I know this is a really long series. It's because epilepsy is complicated. There are several mental health disorders that can be complicated like this. So saying that, let's get going with this, okay? Hereditary, genetics, or the physical traits we get from our parents play an important role in many cases of epilepsy. Hold on a minute while I adjust my camera properly because, there we go. You couldn't see my head. For instance, not everyone who has a serious head injury or a clear cause of seizures will get epilepsy. Those who do develop epilepsy may be more likely to have a history of seizures in their family. The family history suggests that it is easier for them to develop epilepsy than for people with no genetic tendency. When seizures begin from both sides of the brain at the same time, it's called a generalized epilepsy. Now, generalized epilepsy is more likely to involve genetic factors than partial or focal epilepsy. So you see, not all forms of epilepsy are inherited, but generalized epilepsy can be inherited. In recent years, genetic links to some forms or partial epilepsy have been found. Okay, so they have found some links to it. Now you ask, are the brothers and sisters of children with epilepsy more likely to develop it? Well, I can answer that for you. The risk is slightly higher than usual because there may be a genetic tendency in the family for seizures and epilepsy. Even so, though, most brothers and sisters will not develop epilepsy. Epilepsy is more likely to occur in a brother or sister if the child with epilepsy has generalized seizures. So that's when they have the electronic storm going on both sides of their brain. Those types can be inherited, as we just stated. Okay? Remember, epilepsy is not contagious, and people can't catch it like the cold. So, what we're trying to tell you is it's okay to be next to an epileptic. It's not contagious, you can't catch it, and it's not that type of a disease, okay? And so if you see somebody with epilepsy, treat them the way you would treat anybody else. But just be more, aware of what they're going through so you can help them better. But it does not mean to ignore them or to stay away from them because you may catch it because it's not contagious. It's not something you can catch. Okay? Now, if I have epilepsy, will my children also have it, you ask? Well, most children of people with epilepsy do not develop seizures or epilepsy. However, since genes are passed down through families, it is possible. Here are a few general things to remember. Less than 2% people out of every 100 develop epilepsy at some point during their lifetime. The risk for children whose father has epilepsy is only slightly higher. If the mother has epilepsy and the father does not, the risk is still less than 5 in 100. That's not very big risk. Okay? If both parents have epilepsy, the risk is a bit higher. Most children will not inherit epilepsy from a parent, but the chance of inheriting some types of epilepsy are higher. Okay? So, you can't catch it like a cold. It's not a contagious disease. And the chances of if you have epilepsy or your husband has epilepsy, the chances of your children getting it are very slim. Although, there is a slim chance. But, that chance is so tiny, it's not something to really worry about. So it's not something to say, well, I have seizures, so I don't think I should have children. The fact is 99% of most mental health disorders, we don't know what causes them. A lot of it's not genetic. So, and I bring this up because of the fact, just for my personal, what I've experienced, all my children are mentally disabled to some point. I have some people say I'm mentally disabled. I'm not collecting for any type of mental disability whatsoever, though. When my youngest daughter was born, she had her head was like mine. It's small. And she was smaller than the average size. She only weighed 5 pounds, and she was like 18 inches long. She's tiny. She was about the size of a cabbage patch. Okay? Now, my boy's adopted cousin has approached me, and I kind of verbally lost it and had it out with her verbally, because she approached me and she said, well, if you knew your kids were going to come out mentally handicapped like this, why did you keep having kids? The thing is nobody knows. You don't know what your child's going to be like. Most tests that they give your children, give you when you're pregnant, it's like Down syndrome. They can check for that. But any other type of mental illness, now, if you go through my playlist, we've covered quite a bit of different mental health issues, and none of them could be tracked to genetics. There was no way of, knowing what caused it. She says, well, with your husband, where he was a Vietnam vet and you knew things could happen because of the chemicals in Vietnam. That's stupid to judge something like that, because I have friends that have spina bifida, okay? And none of their parents were in Vietnam around Agent Orange, and yet they still had spina bifida. You don't know, so never judge a book by the cover, please. And that's why I want to leave you with these words. And I'm hoping with these words, it helps make a better place, okay? To always remember to see with your heart and not with your eyes, because your eyes only see the shell. Your heart sees what's truly important. So when you see with your heart, you're more loving, more understanding. You're not so easy to judge other people, because we were not put here to judge. We were put here for one another, okay? And unless we can travel a mile in somebody else's shoes, which we can't because we're not them, we should not judge. We don't know what their day is like. We don't know what they've been through in their life. So who are we to judge? Who are we to make a comment to them? You don't like the way they sing. You don't like the way they look. You don't like the way they dress. Well, close your eyes and see them through your heart. Always remember this. You don't know where somebody's been, and your words could be a two-edged sword. They could either bring up somebody or tear them down. You tear them down, you might be the straw that breaks the camel back, and then the next thing you hear is they took their life, and you were the last one that spoke to them. How would that make you feel? Now think on the other side of the coin. You're talking to somebody, you're lifting them up, you don't think nothing of it, you just say something nice. They come back at you later on and say, thank you. Thank you for that. Your words inspired me to keep on keeping on. I was going to take my life, but you inspired me to keep going. That's the type of words I would rather hear. The feelings I would rather hear. I wouldn't want the feeling of dread knowing that something that I said caused somebody to take their life. I would much rather lift them up and inspire them and encourage them. So let me lift you up, inspire you, and encourage you. Let you know that you are one of a kind, you are uniquely made, and I love you for you. And remember, until we see each other again, you are worth it. And I love you with all of my heart. I see you from my heart and not my eyes. Mwah! Have a wonderful day. Bye.